thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate this book, which has taken several years off our lives. And we hope that you will certainly enjoy it and pass it on to the next generation, because we think we've accomplished capturing some history of the town of Westerly. We're going to bounce off each other tonight. I'm going to tell you how it all started. I'm going to embarrass David one more time. This is the last time, David, last time. Mr. Moore, as he was known in town, Tom Moore of the Moore Company, and then the George C. Moore Company, was having lunch with David Prigmore one day, and he said, "David, the history of the textile mills should be saved." And David said, "Okay, I'll do it." Right, David? Yeah. But he did. He found the paper that Tom Perry had written in 1956 for the Westerly Historical Society, which was an amazing piece of work considering there was no internet at the time. He put that together, and David took it and extracted the information and put it in chronological order and updated it. And then he came to me and he said, "Ellen, you have to do something with this." And I said, "No, I don't." And he kept coming back and back and back. I said, "All right, give me the stuff." And it sat in my, file for a long time. And finally, he's getting a little antsy. Maybe I'm going to die before this book gets out. So somehow I involved Maria. Neither one of us can remember how that happened at all. Maria had published a book, and some of you have it, on the history of the Westerly Library, which is a wonderful, wonderful piece of history, which is what we're hoping this book is too.
Yes.
And of course, with John Kaduri, John's over there, and Linda Smith-Chafee, I had done the Granite book. So we were old pros at this, weren't we?
Piece of cake.
Yeah, piece of cake. So we started, and that was before COVID. COVID came, so we couldn't interview anybody, could we? No. We took several years off.
For really no good reason, as I say, no good reason whatsoever.
No good reason whatsoever. And last winter, having done a lot of this work, we really had collected things from the Board of Trade magazines and so forth. We agreed almost simultaneously, we've got to finish this. Yeah. And we did.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Yeah. And so to give you a little hint about what's inside it, if you don't have a copy yet, obviously there's a big chunk about the mills. And that's really the center of the book, kind of the heart of the book, about all of the mills that were in Westerly. They're organized by location, so we talk about the White Rock location, we talk about the Bradford location, the Potter Hill location, and the companies that existed in those spaces over time. That's the middle section. The beginning section is history from centuries ago that was pulled together by Thomas Perry and by Mary Agnes Best in two different publications. And we republished that information to put all of our work in context and to capture it. There's also wonderful documentation about individual companies, like the Cycle Plane Company, like Thomas Perry Silversmith, the Itchkowich people. So there's a great section about that. And then we end with food and beverage, right? So all the good stuff. We put you through the whole book. Now we get to the wonderful products that were made here in Westerly, whether it's Hauser chocolate, Dipolino's sausages, we go back to Bess Eaton, and we end with Gray Sale. So it's a little bit of everything. We did have a hard time. We talked a lot about what do we mean by made in Westerly? What do we mean by industries? And we really focused on things that were produced from raw materials or raw ingredients. They were maybe put together through the use of machinery and handwork. And so producing something that is totally different from the raw ingredients that went into it. So that meant we had to leave out a lot of things. We omitted anything agricultural, anything fishing, anything construction, numerous other things we said, okay, otherwise the book is just going to be too long. We got to cut that somewhere.
And we eliminated, sadly, everything the other side of the river, even though many of them had Westerly addresses at the time, because the only post office was in Westerly. We eliminated Ashaway line and twine, and we eliminated anything that had once been part of the greater Westerly, you know, before it split off into Richmond and Hopkinton and so forth. So this is truly just Westerly. Someone out here might do the rest. We also did not repeat anything that had been done better than we could possibly do it. So Seidner's mayonnaise, the granite industry, shipbuilding, which Dwight Brown had done, and there's a fourth one.
Guild Guitars.
Guild Guitars.
And BDA gets a mention, and we use some photographs from Dwight's collection. But really there is so much more to say about BDA based on what Dwight collected over the years.
Right.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
My favorite. Are the Ellorys here tonight? Oh, darn. Okay. How many of you actually know what Warwick Hanger on Canal Street makes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And some of you know because we told you. 6. And you have the book. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. They do not make hangers for clothing. So I had no idea what they made, but I thought it might be interesting. And I went in and I met the receptionist and I said, I have no idea what you do here, but I'd like to interview the owner or the boss. And she kind of laughed and she set me up for an interview. I came back. By that time I had looked online and I knew what they had made. It was the most wonderful interview I've ever had, father and son. And to just give you a synopsis, they started off in the costume jewelry business in Providence. And when that went to China, they had to reinvent themselves. A brother-in-law who worked for a plumbing supply person came by and said, can you make us hangers for pipes? And they said, well, I don't see why not. So they designed and made their own machinery for making this stuff. And they got so big eventually they had to look for a bigger plant because they were in West Warwick. And the part that brought tears to my eyes was they found the felt company down on Canal Street. And Mr. Ellery said to his crew, see, I'm tearing up now. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm thinking. Would you come with me? Because if you don't, I'm not moving. And that's a big risk. And they said to him, you have been such a good boss. We will do anything for you. And those employees came to Westerly. They had a bit of help. Mr. Ellery bought 2 vans, one coming down from Providence and one coming from West Warwick to have a carpool situation for those employees. They lived through the great flood of 2010 or whenever it was. And when I walked, he gave me a tour of the factory, and when I walked through that factory, I could see that his motto, which was respect and dignity, was present in that building. The way that they talked with him, the way that he talked with them, it was amazing. And so what they do is they make the machines, which make the product, which gets the code
Packaging.
on it. What do you call it?
UPC.
Barcode.
Yep.
Then they package it. Then they store it in their warehouse, and it goes out the same day. They do the whole process. It was incredible.
Nice, nice. And I'm going to say I have a hard time choosing a favorite, although the food and beverages are often my favorite. But what I love is the multi-generational stories. That's a family business in the 2nd generation now. So many people came to Westerly over the years from all parts of Europe, from Greece. We know the Italians were here. everybody came here and put down roots. And now we have 6 generations
At St. Clair Annex.
of
Six.
making ice cream here in Westerly. And we have multiple generations of people making chocolates. So much, people put their roots, their families, their hearts are here. And that is a beautiful thing to see throughout the book. And I hope that at some point, Gray Sale will become a multi-generational business as well. We end the book with Gray Sale because we start with history. We start with centuries of history in Westerly. We end with our future, Gray Sale and the children in the Brinton family and how they are integrated into the product line and into the face, the literal face of the company that you see on the can. So what I love about the book is family. So that's going to be my favorite.
It was chocolates the other day when we did this once before.
It's going to change. It's going to change if you ask me tomorrow. It'll be
true.
different tomorrow.
Yeah. So, any questions? David.
I just want to take off on your hanger thing and say, when I started this whole thing, I really wanted to do a history of the Moore Company, and I tried very hard to get Tom Moore to do that. And we had lunch and we had lunch and we had lunch many times. And finally I got him one time to sit down with Alan and myself, actually in this room, and give us a little interview, and then he said, no more. But he did take me on a tour of the factories, and it's fascinating in there. And so I think the story that came out about the original founder, who's the four generations back, is a fascinating story. And I think some of you have probably worked in the Moore Company, and I think you'll enjoy that piece. But that was really, for me, the essence of getting this whole thing started.
And we thank you for that.
I wish Alex had let us do a little more. If she's around here, I'd tell her that. But they're a very private company, very private family. They got every right to be. They've been a great employer in this town, and I just think it's a good story. So.
We tried to include things like all of the community stuff that the Moore Company did, which was absolutely incredibly amazing. Those of you that are old timers will remember parades and basketball courts and
Baseball teams,
and all of that.
Yes, exactly.
If they had let us take the stuff that's hanging on the walls in there, the commemorative thises and that, we would have had a great book. But they wouldn't let us do it.
Yeah. And that's their right, but I wish they would do it. Yeah. Yes.
What was the most surprising thing you learned?
I beg your pardon?
What was the most surprising thing you learned in writing?
That we finished.
I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it was the history. Like, I didn't know what St. Clair Annex did. Ellen said, oh, we have to include them. I'm like, okay, Ellen, whatever. But then the more she learned about them and learned about their company's history and how the brothers came here from Greece and brought over more family members and became wonderful candy sellers and ice cream parlor and expanded the business and passed it on from generation to generation. And then like the neighborhood kids who worked there and grew up and went on, and just the entire story of things like that.
And the interesting thing was, we pick up little morsels along the way. They had an ice cream that required brittle chocolate. But by the time it got to the present generation, the candy part had gone. They had gone the hot dog route, in Watch Hill. And nobody knew the recipe. And what happened was the chocolate company that supplied them with brittle chocolate was bought out by a large conglomerate, I guess, who didn't want to be bothered with a little place like St. Clair Annex. So Mr. Nichols taught himself how to make the brittle chocolate so they could put it in the ice cream. And it was little things like that that were so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lou?
I certainly will get the book afterwards.
You
but
better.
Consumer dairy.
No.
All right, I'm going to say right now once for everybody. Everybody's going to walk up to the table and say, you didn't include this. And so we had this wonderful idea from Bob, who said, leave some room in there so people can add their own story. So there are pages in the back of the book. We invite you to add your story, your company's story. And as Ellen alluded, we invite you to write the next book.
Okay.
What's the status now?
You know, David did a wonderful chronology. He extracted the dates on the mills, and then he brought it up to the time he gave the stuff to me. And then I updated it after that. And you can see the trajectory. Wouldn't you think so, David?
Yeah, but I think Tom Perry's stuff answers. You know, he was 75 when he wrote this in 56 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it, you know, he remembers back into the late 1800s, and he was president of the Washington Trust, so he would have known all those people. And he kind of talks his way through how the town changed during all that time.
Is that in the book or is
Yeah,
that
that's in the
Yes,
book.
that's in the
book.
book. Yeah, yeah.
I think what we see now are smaller businesses, probably in many ways more numerous businesses, but we don't have the big industries like the mills and the granite quarries holding down the fort. There's a lot more diversity of companies right now.
But they span the world. Maxon Machinery, automatic machinery, all over the world. The Moore Company, all over the world. And Warwick Hanger had a 20-year contract with Home Depot. I mean, do you know what that means for a small company?
Yeah.
To have a 20-year contract with Home Depot? I mean, this is, what we discovered was that the little town of Westerly has spread out all over the world. It's wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Thanks.